Hello, everyone, and welcome to block party number 55. This is our 55th 24-hour collective intelligence block party. And we're kicking off, as we always do, with Food Healers, our morning Food Healers segment. We have Food Healers from 7 to 9 a.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. And as always, honored and excited to be joined and led by Dr. Silas Rao. Silas, brother, great to see you. We love you. Tell us what's new and exciting.
Well, thank you, Jamin. It's a lot of things have happened this week. Actually, we had Vegan Jyoti. He won his Toastmasters competition. And I'm sure BJ is going to update us about her Toastmasters competition. What happened, BJ?
I didn't win. Yeah. Oh, well, I got an additional 10 to 15 more people got to hear the message, but it didn't go on.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then Sarah and Annie had a show on Jane Unchained about the Unity stew. They made the Unity stew and tasted it, and it was awesome. So, hi, Sarah.
Hello, good morning.
Sarah, good morning. How you doing, sister?
I was actually, since we were meeting all day yesterday, I don't know, I must have been really tired as I woke up in the middle of the night and went back to bed, and I'm awake now, but I just I realized that it's kind of, it's one of those weeks.
Yeah, totally
But
understand.
I actually just even in the middle of the night, I listened to your message. I mean, I read your email with all of our stuff from yesterday, which was great. That was a really needed message. I mean, email from last night. That was great. The recap.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, go ahead. I'm listening right now. I just
well, you did a great job on the show, Sarah.
Oh, sorry. No, Annie. It was Annie. She was amazing. I think we're going in May 7th again. We'll be doing it, but we won't be doing the stew. We'll probably do something like, I'm not sure. We'll find out.
Well, I was inspired by the stew, and I made some this week, and I shared it with friends. So yeah.
Thank you, BJ. Kim Delgado also made it, and she posted it on her page. And I took it around to all my clients, my animal clients, my vegan friend Anne, that I babysit her cats. And she said it was a little spicy, so we added jasmine rice. But everybody loved it. They were all so grateful and happy, and they just love how versatile, and it's just a great recipe. Thank you, Dr. Rao. Thank you, Kamaya.
Thank you, Kamaya. Yes. And her experimentation. Yeah. So I'm finishing up the engineer solutions to scientist warnings. I know it's been a long time in the making, but I have to give a talk next Wednesday to my Stanford colleagues. So I want to finish it by then and then have them all read it and hopefully co-sign. And then on Friday, I'm speaking to all my IIT colleagues. So the same talk I'm going to give there too, and solicit signatures.
What day is the first talk?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try not to bug you till then, so you have some time.
Right. The next one is on Friday, actually. Friday is the IIT crowd. That's 5 to 7, I think, my time. So it's just before the evening Food Healers. I have to go give a talk.
Will it be recorded?
They record it, but it's basically private, so they only within the group.
Yeah.
So this lets them do whatever they want.
Right. Yeah, that's good. congratulations, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, well, it's sort of, once you have a deadline or lifeline like that, you're forced to do things by then.
Yes, yes.
I mean, Jim Morris Hicks had actually sent a note last week or this week on the warning that scientists wrote in January, recent warning, basically predicting a ghastly future if we continue doing what we're doing, right? And with a whole list of papers showing why we are messing up. And so it's sort of, it's an impetus to complete this and to show that there is a way out. I mean, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, if we relinquish our human supremacism, which is the foundational flaw in what we are doing. So, yeah. Yes, Niyant, it is IIT Chennai. Yeah, I went to IIT Chennai, graduated in 1981. It was called IIT Madras at that time. And so all my friends are now about to retire from their regular jobs, and they're all looking around to see what to do next. And I'm trying to recruit them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, when you think about it, the planet is in a mess because of all the tools that the engineers built. Right? That's what's being used to create the mess in the first place. But the same tools can be deployed for different purposes to regenerate the planet. And that's what we need to figure out how to do. Because now I think all the tools we need are already there. It's just redeploying it. Do we not know how to make stew in volume? It's like easy stuff. Yeah. And do we not know how to distribute the food to everybody? Easy stuff. We've done this thing before.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Silas, I have an offer to you, a proposal. And this comes from my belief that anything that's worthwhile can be stated in very simple terms. So my offer is that you tell us in very simple terms, even bulleted summary, if that would help. And I also believe in the spiraling method, where we can do a quick initial pass, and then we can do another pass that goes deeper, another that goes deeper. So my invitation is for you to give us a 360-degree initial pass in bulletin form or whatever form of what are the engineers' solutions to the scientists' warning.
Number one, food healers, which is make sure that everybody gets access to healthy, immune boosting food. Because until we repair ourselves, we cannot go around repairing the planet. So should I pass the talking stick to someone else? So the next step, what else should we be doing?
Well, first, before we leave food healers, I just want to acknowledge that is something that addresses both people and planet. Not that those two should ever be separated, but just, but sometimes it helps to kind of look at from different facets and then bring it back home to the synthesis, because this is taking care of people, as you just noted. And by feeding everyone plant-based foods and making plant-based foods the new normal, we inspire and delight the rest of humanity who haven't partaken in the plant-based revolution to join and take that to its logical conclusion. Once we've all gone plant-based, oh my goodness, animal agriculture is the #1 offender to life on Earth. So both people and planet are the main mega beneficiaries of food healers. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
And not only that, when you allow all the trees to come back and you return all this land back to nature, the trees start sequestering all the pollution that we have put into the environment. And so all the chemical pollution gets sequestered, so that, then we have to figure out different ways of doing things. First of all, minimize what we are doing. You don't have to really change your iPhone every 6 months like it's a diaper or something. It's not. these things don't have to be changed so quickly, right? So we need to figure out different ways of doing things so that so that whatever we build lasts. And there is no shrinking beyond where we are. You know, if you look at the iPhone 12 versus the iPhone 11, there's not much difference, I assure you. Because they've hit a plateau. So these guys are sitting there figuring out, how do I convince people to buy more iPhones? So
I know. Let's add some more cameras to the back. Not that they're useful for anything, but 5 cameras are better than 2, right?
Yeah. In fact, the paper that I'm referring to talked about humanity running a global ecological Ponzi scheme. It's not really humanity running it. It's just a few people within humanity who are running it, a global ecological Ponzi scheme. And they're like Bernie Madoff, and they need to keep growing this Ponzi scheme. Otherwise, the whole thing will collapse. So they're stuck in this. They're behaving like Bernie Madoff. So we need to understand the predicament that they're in and say, okay, there is a different way to organize ourselves. You really don't have to do it as a Ponzi scheme, right? So there are better ways to deal with nature than treating her as a pantry for our next resources, right? So anyway.
Maybe we could pay people to spend less. I mean, really, it's this overconsumption, and we have all these people, like you were saying, that buy another iPhone, so they need something to do.
Right.
So do something ecologically good. Do we have to pay you to do that?
Absolutely. I mean, I really think the idea of an income, regular income to people, so that they feel secure. People have to feel like they belong in nature. They belong in society. They belong in nature. Because the current model is all designed by industrialists who wanted to force people to work for them.
Yeah.
So, and they used hunger as a way to do that, Yeah. And so that's the supremacism that's going on. So it begins with human supremacism. And once you have human supremacism, then within humans, there is going to be supremacism. People pretending that they are superior to others.
Hello.
Beautiful. Well, and Sarah put into the chat, how about SRM, solar radiation management?
Yeah.
Is that one of the engineer solutions?
Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, look, we have a responsibility to maintain the climate on this planet. Okay. Once we have acknowledged that we are changing the climate, we have the responsibility to maintain it. And so whatever it takes to maintain that, we have to figure out what needs to happen right now. Yeah, and what is happening to the temperature reminds me of this nonlinear phase transitions that I used to work with, in circuits. It's going up, and then you say, wait a minute, I don't want it to go up. And you have to start dialing it down very quickly to get it to stop. And otherwise, it's going to reach a new state, and it's going to be impossible to bring it back. Jim Hansen said, if we burn all the fossil fuels on planet Earth, Venus syndrome is a dead certainty on planet Earth. So that's the silliness of what we are trying to do. They think they can manage the genocide, the ongoing genocide. You can't manage it.
Absolutely. Let me welcome Simon. Welcome back, Simon. We're almost an hour into the first Food Healers segment. Welcome.
Thank you. I've just been chatting to your web developer friend, Stylish.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you talked to him.
Yeah, Sarah's kind enough to give me another name, but that's where I'm at. I definitely need to find the right person
Mhm.
now, and I'd really like some help actually developing the content of the website, because food healers will be a cornerstone. I'm sorry to go off at a tangent here, but deep in the conversation, but I've been sort of checking out the vegan community within the UK, which is
Mhm.
obviously very active. It's and passionate all over the world, of course. So you know, I'm really hoping to build just communities by finding people that want to develop it from a vegan perspective in their community.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm at.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we're just reviewing, Silas is reviewing for us the summary points of the engineer's solution paper. It's engineer's solutions to the scientist's warning. And so far we've covered food healers and solar radiation management. And are there any other, Silas, any other kind of big solutions that you addressed there? I mean, you also touched upon basically what I'll summarize as changing the game of humanity from endless consumption in this Ponzi scheme to becoming a caretaker species, caring for each other and caring for Mother Earth. But back to you, Silas.
Yeah, I'm proposing that we start another game, which is an infinite game as opposed to the finite game of competition that we are playing now. So play an infinite game in which there are no winners and losers, and everyone is just doing this because we want to create a planet that thrives forever. And then play that game in parallel with the old game until we can transition to the new game completely. So I'm proposing that we do that and we create that new game and start working with it. So that's the game of Aquarius, you know, that I've been designing for almost a year now, a couple of years. But it's getting traction. You know, I have a corporation that's interested now in actually measuring their ecological footprint and then managing it. So it is unless there is large participation in that game, it really doesn't help, right? So this is why you need to get better participation. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, Miranda. I think she says she has another meeting. She has to leave, and I didn't get a chance to meet her. So thank you for coming, Miranda. I appreciate that. I wanted to ask a question based on our conversation from yesterday. Most of the day we were talking about a universal calendar, and we were talking in Monday in Kiko Labs about that, where they easily dismissed Jamin. However, they let me speak, which was amazing. Jamin, if you noticed, and then when you said I agree with everything Sarah said, they didn't like that, but it was great. So when we were talking about the universal calendar, I kept mentioning Kamaya. I don't think I said her name at the time, but I was like, yeah, I said Kamaya and Dr. Rao came up with the vegan calendar. It starts on December 22nd. Chief Phil Lane said, it's December 22nd, the day that shall not be seen as night. And that's official World Vegan Day. It's the beginning of the calendar, right? So why don't we take that calendar and, like we talked about, taking a mainframe where we already have the plant-based calendar that we receive every week. We already receive loads of calendars. And if we could just somehow find somebody to take this mainframe of information out of this, like what we could say cloud. We talked about this yesterday, Jamin. Somehow we have to get that vegan calendar and call it something else, possibly universal calendar, right? Because everything started as vegan. So the calendar already started as vegan. So all that we're doing is going back to what we're supposed to be doing, correct? We're supposed to be doing like Dr. Rao went to Costa Rica and he saw, how did this come back to? Well, that's how the calendar comes back. The same thing. Start the calendar, then everything comes, it's like a tree of life almost, if you think about it. So then everything else, how we get all calendars to cross pollinate, I guess you could say. I don't really know how you could say it, Jamin. The way I explained it last night was a little bit more clear because I was more awake. I just think that we need to somehow, it's like the cloud of, and like I said, I don't want to get into Big Brother. So we're not trying to spy on people's conversations, but if people are talking about calendars, which they are, we need to figure out how to get that information and disseminate it to everybody. And then that way, while we're talking, other people are talking about the same thing. They come into our Zoomosphere, like Jamin eloquently stated last night. That was the first time that I actually made the connection when Jamin used the word Zoomosphere. And then it was able to make the analogy that, oh, okay, we're just in a cloud, right? We're in a cloud right now. We're on a cloud talking in our vegan bubble about how we're going to fix the world. And now we have to go out and give this information to everybody and say, hey, the house is on fire. And our pet jaguar's paws are on fire and they're at the vet because if you don't bring it home, then they don't get it. It's like, we talked about this last night. What is it going to take? Because Jamin had to come up with the acronym SHIT, which I was like, oh, I don't like that. You know, for me, I don't want to say the word, but the acronym is so powerful because it's really what's happening. And I almost think that we should be getting our friend Silvana on, even though she doesn't have time because she's trying to rescue animals and that are on fire. Somehow we have to figure out how to get the universal calendar so that my friend Julie, who keeps asking, what can I do about the Amazon? And the call was canceled the other day. What about the other 45,000 calls we could have been on in Zoomosphere to find out what's going on in the Amazon and then tell Savannah or then say, oh my gosh, our friend's carrying jaguars out. What? There's jaguars. Yeah, great. We have this house that we could help rehabilitate the jaguars. You know, that's even closer to the forest. You don't even have to take them out of the forest, whatever. I'm just saying we have to figure this out because we already have it. It's just connecting it. Correct. It's just like Facebook when it first came out. How did they connect everybody to social? So this is what it is. It's the same thing as Facebook. It's just vegan Facebook, kind of like, you know, it's just like getting people to connect and actually talk about things that are important and not about posting pictures. So that's what I'm saying. It's just raising the level up to where, see, they've already trained in it. So they're already trained in Facebook. They're already trained in how to, oh, share this, post this, post this. So what you do is just train the people that already know what the processes is. And you find out, where do they get their intelligence? Where do they get their information? And that's, I think, it's already exists. So we just have to somehow get it and collect it, like Jamin says, it's collective intelligence. So we collect it and then we figure out how to make it. So I think that Dr. Rao would be great to help make the universal calendar because he already has it. And we just have to kind of, I don't know, you tell me. He had a great model for food healers. He's got a great model for climate healers. So I'm just saying, I feel like, you know, I feel like if he knows how to say 1 + 1 = 2 and people can comprehend that, how he's telling people, then we should go with that model. I know it sounds like a long me to get to this point that I'm trying to make, but I've been thinking about it all night. And that's why I woke up in the middle of the night and I read your email in the middle of the night, which I would never do. But I literally put on glasses to read it. And I was like, wow, this is serious. We have to really get this going. So yeah, that's my statement. And Marco, your picture of your dogs in the background is so cute.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sarah. Just to add a little bit to that, and then I'll pass it to Silas and pass it around. But what Sarah is referring to is this network of conversations that are happening in the Zoomosphere, but it's a network that's not really a network yet. It's kind of like the set of all computers in, I don't know, 1985. Yes, they all existed and, you know, they peripherally knew about each other. Many of them came from the same factory and used the same Intel processor. But beyond that, they weren't really connected until Dr. Silas Rao and others created the internet, right? So what we're really talking about here is an internet not of connecting computers to computers, but connecting conversations to conversations. So you could think of it as a network of conversations, because once this network of conversations truly becomes a hyper-connected network, And we have visibility and search and connection, and we can go from conversation to conversation and say, oh, you need this here? Hey, there's this other conversation over here that's getting that figured out. Let's get you connected. Great. And we go on field trips and we cross-pollinate and we do mashups and all that. And, yes, a lot of it is about, transcribing text and making that text searchable and indexable and all these good things. But at the heart of it, it's really people meeting with people and having these heart-to-heart conversations, not so much head-to-head anymore, but heart-to-heart, and saying, hey, how do we really transform this? So we're talking about the network of conversations as the heart and the backbone of this collective super intelligence. And that's what I've been beating the drum on. And we were at the Kiko Lab meeting this last Monday, and I was really pushing, hey, we need this universal calendar, because the first part of this Internet of Conversations is a calendar that's open, that everyone can see, and everyone who's hosting a transformational conversation can post it there, kind of like this universal bulletin board, which is what the Internet started off as, a bunch of news groups, whatever, bulletin boards. And so that's what Sarah's talking about. We're super passionate about it. And, a lot more to say about that. But one of the things we're talking about is how do we create kind of like this bright light that's both a beacon, a warning signal, right? And, a signal to those of us who are already in the conversation, the conversation about how do we save, heal, and intentionally transform life on Earth. And so we're bringing back this acronym SHIT, saving, healing, and intentionally transforming, which has multiple meanings and multiple facets. It's a hyperobject unto itself. But at its core, it's a series of conversations that starts off with our agency. See, a lot of people aren't really tapped in that we have agency to actually transform this as a collective. And from out of that agency, we can choose to cultivate this network of conversations, this budding collective super intelligence, to collectively come up with the right strategy, of which, as Silas was mentioning, food healers, solar radiation management, changing the game, etc. But it's all connected, and we really need to bring this network together. So with that, I'm going to pass the talking feather around. I see Simon has his hand raised, and I'm sure Silas has things to mention. So Silas, you want to direct traffic here for me? And BJ also raised her hand. Go ahead, Silas.
I was just going to respond just to the SHIT acronym. And then I was going to pass it on to Simon. So the SHIT acronym, it starts by saying saving, healing, and intentionally transforming. But literally, the Earth does not have to be saved. The Earth will be saved. Okay, the Earth she's much smarter than we give her credit for. So it's about us transforming first. So it really is transforming, healing, and intentionally saving Earth. From our perspective, we are saving Earth. You know what I mean? So that's why I call it this, THIS, this. Just reverses it a little bit. The transformation happens for us first. Okay, and it's only when you have a private victory that you can get to a public victory, right? So you have to transform yourself, heal yourself, and then intentionally save, because you know that you're going to suffer if you don't save right now. You're going to suffer even more. The Earth will be fine, okay? A million years down the road, the Earth will say, oh, there was some species that came and went. Okay, but if we want to be part of it, we better start doing it now. So I think the acronym should be this: transform, heal, and intentionally save. So that's my suggestion to you, Jamin. Go ahead, Simon.
I've got to say, I agree with that. And I'm curious, what is the challenge? Is the challenge, I mean, Sarah was talking about Facebook. I mean, the reason Facebook is so successful is in the early stages when lots of people were trying to do something similar, for whatever reason, they bagged the biggest part of the audience and managed to hold on to them mostly. Bit of a proliferation of late, but still Facebook has this stranglehold on the audience. People try and get away from Facebook, but they very often tend to gravitate back there. So my question is the challenge the technology or the audience? And I actually, just my own thoughts, is that I think the focus, basically what you're talking about in this universal calendar and snack bar, you're talking about a new social media. I mean, in terms of snack bar, I was trying to make it work as an acronym in terms of, instead of actual conversation, self-actualization, which is kind of what you're talking about here, Sailesh, I think. So thinking in terms of my own project, is there something that we have the wherewithal to put together now that I could then focus my attention on in terms of providing the audience? So I would bring the audience to the platform, the social media platform, the social network. If I focused on that, because that I can do, I think, but I haven't got the foggiest idea about how to actually put the platform together. So how close, you were talking about it all the time, but from a technical perspective, how close are we able to be able to provide it? I mean, within the context of my WordPress website, there's something called BuddyPress, which is just a plugin, which is quite limited. So if your friend was to design a new website, Sailesh, or indeed if he was to incorporate it within Climate Healers, could we do that? Have we got something we could embed in both websites fairly promptly? That's my question.
Good question. You know, it is getting this universal calendar populated. First of all, you know, do we want to change to a 5-day week, you know, and make it feel like it's a different calendar that we are working with? Okay. I mean, I floated that idea so that people start thinking of this as a new era that we are in. So a new era cannot be the exact same as what we used to do before. So let's just do something like a 5-day week. And that's what I proposed we do. And something universal, you know, the 5 days are all based on strength. I mean, justice, strength, courage, kindness, and compassion. So you're all born on a day that is fundamentally good. Everyone is born on a day that's fundamentally good. So anyway, I mean, we could have a calendar like that and then show the translation to the current calendar, right, on that calendar.
Right.
So people have an idea. If they want to do something that's on a weekly basis in the current calendar, it'll show up in the new calendar, but it'll show up in different places.
Yeah. Can I just say, if I might, Jamin, listening and, you know, shit and this and I've having heard this as a suggestion for the first time, I really like the idea. It just came to me. This is now.
This is now. Yeah. I love that. Thank you. This is now.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll put that in the paper too. This. Go for it, BJ.
I wanted to say that sharing information is important, and we know that in documentaries and videos. So I tried to take a portion of your speech from last keynote address and turn it into a video by hiring Fiverr to do it. And it didn't turn out like I wanted at all, but I still kind of want to share it with you. So, because it is an effort, you know, it is an effort, and we learn by practicing. And I think I had intended for the Killing Machine and the what is the other one? Oh gosh, I can't think
The
of it.
burning machine.
Yeah, the burning machine and the killing machine, to be on the page at the whole time while other information was at the top and coming and going. But anyway, they did come up with something, and I think it goes too fast and it's hard to read and blah, blah, blah. I could criticize it a lot, but at some point in this, I wondered if y'all would like to see it. It's only 2 minutes.
Sure, please.
Yes, we want to watch it right now, BJ.
Okay. Okay, then I will share it. Okay, do you see it on the screen? Nope, not yet.
Not yet, but you're co-host, so you're good to share.
Let me stop this. Now you see it?
Now we see it.
Okay.
And you, beautiful, BJ.
Well, it's
Wow.
all, when I look at it, I think really if I could just take that clip of Dr. Rao's speech, but I did try to put some animation to it. And I wonder if I should have referenced his speech instead of his paper, but his paper is where it'd be easier for people to go to, I think.
Right, right.
Well,
So BJ, did you see my question?
no, I didn't.
Okay, so it's about sulfur dioxide.
Yeah.
Who's your audience for this?
I thought I would put it out to general Facebook and then see who
Okay.
decides to
So
stop on it.
probably what you want to do is explain what sulfur dioxide is, because I don't think anybody really knows it except for maybe Dr. Rao and you and Jamin and 4 other people. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like,
Right.
I
No,
think
you're
that you could make
absolutely
this
right.
video and make this video is incredible. And I think you could actually take all of this information that you have and talk to Dr. Rao. And I think you should make this into for Animal Hero Kids, with maybe something for Susan with the kids showing like pictures of cows and what happens, like what happens when you bite into a hamburger and it turns into something like, and it comes out of that chimney.
Yes, yes. I
love it. Like, I don't know if what kind of video editor you use, but I love the colors and it keeps your attention, and the graphics and the way it's typed are really big. I really like that. I was able to see it without glasses.
Well, thank you. I didn't actually edit it. See, I would send back, no, it needs to look like this. No, don't put that there. So it was working with somebody through email, and it was much more difficult than it would be if it was working with say Ray, who you can
Mm.
talk to. But yes, I think, oh my gosh, my food is burning. I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, what do you think about that? Because sulfur dioxide, I mean, I don't know how many people would understand what that is. What's another word that you could use that would maybe in parentheses if they needed to know what it is?
Soot. It's
I
ash
know,
and
but
soot. It's
that's
smoke.
what I
It's,
was trying to
it's
say.
solid
If you could,
particles.
yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Maybe if you have the cows, something coming out of the chimney, which she showed, but almost think that you have to relate it to fire, like your house is on fire and the soot comes down, or I don't think sulfur dioxide needs to be explained that way, though. What do you think, Dr. Rao?
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly soot, but it is, soot is mostly carbon, but this is from burning sulfur. So, which is another element, right? Carbon is an element, sulfur is another element. So it's, how would you put it? People now are familiar with carbon dioxide. They know when you burn carbon, you get carbon dioxide.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking that this video, from now on, it will cost me $55 to make any additional changes to it for each additional change. And so if it's enough that I put it out there, some people will pause it and stop and look at it and wonder where those numbers come from.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it will do some good to get some people going. But really, you're right, Sarah. I want something simpler that shows animation where we don't have to use those words and those numbers. But I was so impressed that, look, it is factual. It is mathematically correct.
Yeah.
That this burning, is worse than, how come I can't think, killing is worse than burning. So that's what I was attempting. And what I guess I'm kind of asking, do you think it'd be okay to go ahead and post this? Do you think it will, or should I wait until I get something better? Because I know that we want to, I know Ray wants to do something on the burning and killing machine. Do you think that would take away from any later things?
No, go for it.
It seems to me like somebody may see it and it give them pause enough to look into it, is what I'm hoping.
Yeah. No, look, BJ, I mean, we are in a situation where we are all, trying to get people's attention to see this, right? That there is this blind spot in humanity. And we're trying to show them that there is a blind spot and we need to pay attention to that. And there are multiple ways to reach people. Different people are reached in different ways. This is why I welcome as many voices. You have a unique way of putting it, and because you're looking at it from a different perspective, right? And you will reach a few people. I mean, you reach people that way. Those who can see it that way will see it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with it, but I'm not stopping there. I mean, I'm going to keep working,
Absolutely.
Working on it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for letting me share that, everyone.
Thank you, BJ. Beautiful. Really beautiful. So since no one has their hand raised, I'd like to comment that just as kind of a synthesis over the last hour or so of, engineers, solutions, et cetera, we've got food healers feeding everyone plant-based foods with its multiple benefits. We have solar radiation management, cooling the planet through mirrors. We have changing the game. What game are we playing? Is it fundamentally a game of hoarding and dominion and dominance and power and ego? Or are we ready to shift to a new game, a new story for humanity? And thanks to what Sarah was saying, I would add a fourth pillar, which is collective superintelligence through the network of conversations that is not yet a network, but we essentially are on the cusp of an internet of conversations, which properly organized will constitute a collective superintelligence. And the first step towards that is the universal calendar, so we can see all these different conversations. And then, as kind of a focal point for all of it, I would say this is now, where the this can be a series of conversations that we can spiral on on a weekly basis. And as the spiral goes, more and more people come in, are drawn into it. With the this saying we need to focus right here on a certain core series of conversations that can include agency and a new story, a new game. You know, just put it on the table. Hey, you're not happy? Hey, neither are we. In fact, none of us are happy. In fact, we're all miserable as we are witnessing all this death and destruction all around us, which is encroaching on our privileged little bubbles in the United States, the UK, or wherever we may happen to be. So you're feeling it, I'm feeling it too. Let's come together and talk about it and recognize our agency, our collective agency to come together and transform this as sort of a nucleus, a bright light within this whole network. From there, talk about the network, acknowledge the network, and talk about our need to cultivate this network and bring it together. So yes, we're one bright node, and we're here to connect, and we can become this hub, this connecting rod for other transformational conversations and communities. And as we come together, let's co-create this strategy centered around food healers, solar radiation management, and creating a new game, which includes liberating ourselves from the old game, the all-day monopoly game of individual hoarding for individual survival. And I personally see food healers as the first domino in a whole chain of dominoes that constitutes providing all of humanity with her basic needs, right? Food, water, shelter, healthcare, community, access to parks and recreation and open space, and libraries and internet, et cetera, et cetera. And at the same time, healing Mother Earth by dismantling and transforming old systems of animal agriculture to primarily returning that land to nature and other benevolent uses, right? So just to recap, the main engineering solutions: food healers, solar radiation management, changing the game, and the internet of conversations. And we can start with a core series of conversations called this: recognizing our agency, recognizing the crisis. And from that, saying, okay, we need to come together as a network. This, we offer up this as a bright spot node in this network, not the only bright spot, but this is where we are. And if you're another bright spot, we want to connect with you. So let's connect and let's co-create this universal calendar as the backbone of the network of conversations, which will provide the basis for collective superintelligence, with which we can co-create a holistic strategy for transforming, healing, and intentionally saving life on Earth. That is this. Join this. This is now. And then we go from there. Anyway, that's my recap for the moment. I love to recap stuff. With that, I pass the talking feather. Thank you. And thank you, Sister Ivy. Great to have you here. Love to hear from everyone.
Same question. I mean, I'm working on the platform. That's my goal now. But I'm trying to think about everything that's been said here, and it's all fantastic within the context of what I want to do, because I'm about action, and I'm not getting any younger. None of us are. So I very much see, within the context of Just Cooperate, a members area. So people actually log in. And when they log in, there will be, in essence, a back office where they are logging into this. They're logging into This Is Now. So there'll be all the front end stuff for people visiting the website and reading everything about what we're trying to achieve. But if they want to get actively involved, they sign up and become a member because they know what they're joining. So the content of the website, the landing page, etc. And I'd really like some help crafting that in terms of, saying all that we're saying here in an accessible way to the vast majority of people. So it lights that spark of awareness here. I'm aware that things are going to hell in a handbasket. I want to play some part. Okay, log in into the back office, our own integral social media platform, which can be used as part of Just Cooperate, or indeed on Climate Healers, or wherever we want to put it, because it is specifically, This Is Now a social media platform for people that just don't want to share photographs of their cats. Nothing wrong with cats, but there's more potential here to do some good. So that, that's, I'm thinking as we're having this conversation about what I want and then who's going to do it. And Sarah was kind enough to point me to one person yesterday that I'll be reaching out to. I've spoken to Harshek today. He sounds reasonable. His prices are very reasonable and within my budget, which is just as well. And then I'm listening to Rebecca, and she's spending money on her own little idea. We need to coalesce. We need to bring these things together, don't we? And start, applying this collective superintelligence to something pragmatic. So that's, you said yesterday, Jamin, that you're pleased to help, and it's all in line with what you're trying to achieve. Trying to focus in here now, please, if I can, or we can.
I love
Beautiful.
the idea.
Yeah. Go ahead, Silas. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love the idea, Simon. I mean, really, we need a place where everyone can come to, and it's common that everyone knows this is where, but then there are others who are already doing things like this, right? So should we just incorporate their work and so join them? Like Dot is talking about open source ecology group on the chat. So, so I'm going to go check them out and see what they're up to. But they are not coming from a vegan perspective yet, from what I can gather.
Hey,
Yeah,
Dr. Rao, can I ask Dr. Rao a question real quick?
Yeah.
It was just about if you met my vegan vet, Dr. Armighty May, because she screened the movie Prayer for Compassion at the Mesa Center.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, because she was in Arizona for 2 weeks. I was hoping that you met with her, or you met her.
Yeah, I know her. Are you talking about, is she here now?
She just left on Sunday, I believe. Dr. Armighty May.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that she was here. Or she's here now, or she was here?
She was for 2 weeks, and she screened. I could have sworn that you were going to be meeting. Or, I mean, I guess I had mentioned it to you, but maybe I just should have followed up. But I could have sworn I said, "Oh, you get to meet Dr. Rao. It's just so lucky." And the other thing I wanted to ask you also is for Vegan World 2026 April conference. Maybe we could work and finish up this universal calendar. Possibly work on that with the vegan coin, or the vegan whatever we're going to do for the vegan currency.
Right. No, I mean, yeah. The calendar, the idea is there, and we showed it last time, and people love the idea. So we need to now create a version that is for the whole year and has the translation to the current calendar. So this way we can work with the new calendar, and make it normal. We need to normalize it. See, that's the thing, right? If you people are used to the old way of looking at things. So we need to normalize the new one. Let's have a session on that. I agree.
Yeah, so building off all that's been said in the last several minutes, it feels like we're really honing in now, and it feels to me like I'm a 8-year-old kid who shows up at a friend's house, and I've got a few Lego blocks, and each of these other friends has a few, and we're putting them all together, right? And I think we're right on the cusp of a new universal calendar. Like, well, this other group, they've got some good stuff and open source this, but they're not vegan. We're vegan and we've got this and this and this and compassion and all that. I mean, we just need to get it together, right? And I think the answer is a decentralized universal calendar based on some set of agreements, some set of basic agreements that and this is, I'm just going to fumble here, and I see BJ's got her hand up, but I'm going to fumble here with some basic concepts, which is, one is we want to definitely do the right thing, right? And we all know the right thing is plant-based, compassionate, and it's, for most people, that's radical. But radical is right in this case. So we want to be right and radical. At the same time, we want to be welcoming and inclusive, right? And so just to, get right to the crux of the matter, what do we do when, nice meat eaters show up? Do we say, get the hell out, or welcome, brother, let's talk, right? Just to put it in poetic terms. And with that, I'll pass the talking feather.
I mean, like for the Vegan World 2026 convergence, we welcome them and then tell them, here is a nice way of eating stew, making excellent vegan food that you can consume. Because ultimately, when we consume animals out of choice, that is exercising human supremacy. That's saying that our taste is so much more important than your right to life, to the other animals. Right. So, and as long as we continue with that mindset, we are going to destroy the planet. So we need to denormalize that human supremacy, because it is so ingrained in us. And this is the gift that Kimaya brought me, is that she was unraveling the human supremacy in my mind that was already there in my mind. She was helping me see it. Because she was looking at it as a child, unconditioned, who sees in fact, today we were having a conversation. She's saying that I should be naming all the birds who come to eat our corn. And I was like, that's a lot of birds, and I can't recognize their faces. I can't distinguish them as well as they can distinguish me. And then we started talking about, should we be naming all the trees? And I told her that means you have to come up with 3 trillion unique names, because there are 3 trillion trees on the planet. And we're going to be planting another 3 trillion. So you need 6 trillion unique names. So anyway, that's where we were going with that.
That sounds like a great storybook.
That's true, actually. So that's a good
Yes.
story.
Yeah, very good storybook. And then you have people who have trouble remembering names. So you end up saying, I know you have a special name. I honor the specialness in you without knowing the name.
Yeah.
Especially with 3 trillion. But yes. So I think also we should, thank you, should welcome meat eaters. And when we're trying to get, especially, other people that do webs and all these other things that people do that are not vegan, yeah, we welcome, but we have to be still clear that the bottom line is it's vegan. What we're doing is vegan.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a little bit hard for them. So they have to love you first, I guess. They have to love being with us, and then
Yeah, in the paper, I'm making the case that human supremacism is the cultural bedrock on which all other forms of supremacism flourish. So when we exercise human supremacy, when we take advantage of that, we are literally watering the roots of all other forms of supremacy. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hey, I really like that you were talking about the birds, and I love that because we actually have a bird friend named Little S. We've known him for a really long time, and he even has a girlfriend. And these, of course, they have friends, and I really like 3 trillion trees. I think that'd be a great book title for, even if it was an ebook and Kamaya could narrate it, and she could literally, I think when you have a child making the connection, that's the best, because then people are going to listen to kids. All the commercials that have the baby food and all the stuff on it that parents buy is all about kids, right? In her age group, I think she's almost a tween, right? She's almost in that middle. I used to be a teacher, so her age group actually is between 10, 11, and 12 is the most changes that you have to watch for and guide your child at that time, supposedly is the biggest change that they go through transformation wise, because they're going through probably getting ready to go through puberty is why I would think so. I'm not sure, but I'm just guessing. But what I'm saying is that she should be really the catalyst for this. I know that's a lot of pressure putting on her, but I feel like if she was to explain the calendar and she was to explain all of this, people would really listen to her, because it seems like it just would, I don't know. And then second part of my question is really kind of opposite of what we were just talking about, but it has to do with food healers, is once I hear back from the Parks and Recs, which I suppose I'll hear back today, and I'm actually going to put a call in this morning to my contact there. When they say, okay, these are the programs, that also needs to go on the universal calendar. So we know, okay, these are the days that the after school program is at these 2. They have 17 other locations. Now we need to start really kicking in. But, we're going to start with the 2, very simple, and not go crazy. But let's say I hear back from him today, because I'm going to call him and talk to him. And they say, and I find out when the days are for the after school programs, then I need to say, okay, those are the days that I need to switch around my schedule, and other people are going to be helping me. But we need to also get the supplies, like we already went through and we discussed that we are going to order the combustible bowls. That was last Friday night's meeting. Ingrid, myself, and Jamin, or that was last Thursday's actually meeting before, precursor before the Friday meeting. We decided, okay, we're going to go ahead and get the containers, and these are what we're going to get. I think they were like 10 cents a piece possibly, but we saw Ingrid's cup, and that was really cool that she uses. So I thought maybe we could get a little bit, because we only have 15 minutes left, maybe 17 minutes left. We could talk about just some housekeeping stuff, because let's say he goes, okay, he got the green light, everything's going. Next Wednesday's the after school program. The after school programs are on Wednesday from 3 to 5. Well, we need to go ahead and we need to have somebody make a banner and get our stuff together. We need to be prepared. That's the whole why we're doing this. So let's talk about that, please.
Sure. Let's talk about that. My feeling at the moment, Sarah, and by the way, do you have time after the top of the hour to continue? I'll be here, because I think that's going to require a bit more of a focused conversation. I'd kind of like to.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, great. Let's plan for that, because I'd like to I think we're onto something here with the universal calendar, generally. And where I was going with that is, it's one thing if you say, hey, we're Vegan World 2026, and yes, non-vegans are welcome, come join the conversation. But my question is, to truly have a universal calendar where everyone can feel welcome and it's very neutral ground, maybe it's better to do that outside of an explicitly vegan organization and say, look, this is the universal calendar for transformational conversations generally. And right off the bat, the only bar is, are you game to have transformational conversations about transforming, healing, and intentionally saving life on Earth? Maybe you just don't know about how important it is to be vegan, and maybe you don't even know that it's possible to be vegan, right? That it's healthy. Maybe you just don't know. So let's not push away, whatever 95% of humanity from the get-go by saying, hey, this is a fundamentally vegan thing. So, yeah, we'll tolerate you for a bit if you're not vegan right now, but hey, this is really a vegan place versus a more neutral ground, so to speak, right? And where I'm heading with this is I think we should be more explicitly neutral. And this concept that we've been developing for the last hour or so. No, Dot has a really good point. She's saying neutral meaning more human supremacist ground. And I totally hear you, Dot. And that's why I said a few minutes ago, I'm kind of torn between these two perspectives. What is neutral, for crying out loud, right? And but let's not call it human supremacist. Let's just say, hey, it's a space for conversation. And if I say, let's have a conversation, that's not right out of the gate human supremacist. I'm just saying, let's have a conversation. So what this concept we've been developing is that of Snack Bar, a social network of actual conversations. So we make the common ground conversation. And then within that, we put whatever conversations we want on the universal calendar, but that's the substrate. It's a network of conversations. Silas, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, would you say the same thing about someone who's a member of the KKK who wants to come and promote KKK ideas? So it's one of those things, supremacism is so ingrained in us, and some supremacism we have recognized, and we are saying we need to avoid that. And we explicitly tell them, look, it's no longer welcome, right? That sort of supremacism in this space. Human supremacism is the underlying foundational supremacism. Okay, and we have tried for so many years to maintain human supremacism and let go of the other supremacism. It's not going to happen, because anytime we water human supremacism, we promote human supremacism, we are making everything that's going on now normal. Okay, including the killing of Asian women because they happen to be look different. I mean, look at all of that. Okay, no one wants to address the root cause. He doesn't want to address his own addictions, but instead he's going off and shooting someone else. Right? That's his solution to this. And we have had that kind of solution for so many years, so many centuries. And we are saying with this, we are saying it's time to transform. And transform means there is something new. And what is that something new? That is veganism. Meaning, when you come in there, you cannot bring in your barbecue ribs and nonsense like that. Look, it's veganism. It is vegan to begin with. Okay, so I welcome people who come to Vegan World 2026 who are not yet vegan, but I tell them the conversation is about veganism. And we live, breathe, and eat vegan. That's it. Okay, in this space. But you're welcome if you're not yet doing that to see what it's like. So I think making that very clear, otherwise people don't know what this transformation really is. Okay, and something that is different. So 95% of the people are not doing it. Tells them, yeah, this is something different. This is why the current system is going down the tubes and we need something new. If there is no, see, this is what Martin Luther King was talking about when he said, if there is no discomfort, there is no change. People don't change if they don't feel discomfort. And moderation, he said, moderation is what prevents change from happening. And we say we need to be nice, we need to be moderate. And he actually, told those people, look, you are the ones who are obstructing my freedom. And, so the same way, we are the ones who are obstructing. When we are moderate, we are obstructing the lives, the extinction of species. Okay? For them, it's a matter of life and death. So we need to be much firmer about our morals and what we are really doing with this transformation. At least the foundation should be clear. There is no human supremacy in this foundation. Absolutely none. We are here to serve the animals. We're not here to go and exploit them. Okay. So just like, when the way I deal with Kimaya these days is that I am here to serve her needs, her interests. I'm here to serve her. I'm not here to boss. I'm not here to tell her what I know. Here's what I know, and you need to understand this. No. She knows much more about non-human supremacist living than I do. I'm learning from her. So it flips the current model quite a bit. Okay, the current model is all about the adults and the older people teaching the younger people. Now I'm saying we need to flip it around, at least in the transition period, so that we get to the new model. Go ahead, Marco.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you kind of touched a little bit on what I was gonna say, and I'm gonna rely on you for a little bit, Jamie. The number of people we have in the world is, over 7 billion, correct? And what percentage is vegan at this point? We have some estimate. No?
Estimates vary because of
Ballpark is good.
Ballpark is, let's say, 3%.
3%. Okay. So we have a 3% audience. How many more percent do we need? Where's the tipping point of number of people to grasp a concept and move it forward? Where's the tipping point? Again, ballpark is fine.
Ballpark is around 10% is when it becomes inevitable. It's going to happen.
Okay, so we only need another 7%. So the idea, and I'm going to say, I think this is similar to what you said, Silas, that we need people that are willing to have the uncomfortable conversations right from the start. I don't think we need to make a lot of people that aren't going to change their minds until it's inevitable. It's probably wasted effort trying to pull them in. We need to just find another 7%, and we can say, hey, let's, there's a lot to be said for under promising and over delivering. Let's go for 10%, and let's make a model that's aiming to get 10% of the population, so that we're at the tipping point. And I have one other question aside from this. Now, in the last few meetings, and I always lose track, we talked about delivering the vegan stew, especially in Food Healers LA, but no bread. And I missed the conversation where there was no bread. What's that about?
Let's have that after the top of the hour, because we're in a really important thread here.
Okay.
I've had my hand up and then followed by Simon. I just wanted to I've got an offer, okay, to everyone here, and here's what it is. What I was going to do as of yesterday, what the plan was that was emerging was create Snack Bar as the social network of actual conversations. The focus there is just conversations. And within that, make the centerpiece. It was going to be that smiling emoji of a pile of poop. And it was going to say the shit. But now I really like this. So get rid of the poop, get rid of the bad words, and make it this. So here's my offer to the world, starting with all of you. Snack bar, social network of actual conversations. The centerpiece is this, and this is vegan. This is plant-based. This is getting rid of human supremacy. This gets right to the heart of it. But, and here's the but, it's not the only thing on the menu, right? There are others who want to talk about nuclear. Fine, come talk about nuclear. Hey, you want to talk about political transformation, Bernie Sanders? Fine, talk. But at the center of it is this, and this is clear. This is radical, and this is basically all the good stuff we've been talking about here, from agency to collective superintelligence to the strategy to food healers and all that. And I'm seeing some heads nodding up and down. That's a good sign. I'll pass the talking feather. Go ahead, Simon. And I see Marco also raised his hand again. Go ahead, Simon.
I hesitate to admit this. I'm not a vegan. But since coming to these conversations, I'm moving in that direction. You know, I'd like to go and do it overnight, but I just don't have the strength, sadly. Too many distractions. Sometimes, I know that sounds pathetic to committed vegans, but you know, I can't deny it. But I still think there's something interesting in that, to the extent that, you say 3% of people are vegan, 10% is some kind of tipping point. So I'm in that 7%. So, and if I've been going on a journey in this short period of time, then you need to reach out to more people like me, don't you? And then beyond those 10%. So I think, thinking about it, I mean, it's too many acronyms, I think. I really like this. I don't even think you need anything else. Lost my train of thought again. I don't actually think it is necessarily a universal calendar. I think you need parameters. This is a place where people come to talk not about anything, so the KKK would not be allowed in, which means you absolutely need moderators. Things need to go through some sort of filtering process, because we're here for a purpose. This is about solutions. This is about self-actualization. This is about positive, constructive conversations. This is about people that are mindful enough to be concerned about our monetary system, which is me particularly. So I'm going to be in an environment where I'm interacting with people that are thinking about the challenges in terms of this. So I'm going to be receptive to the specific challenges within the context of more people going vegan, ultimately everybody. Likewise, vegans will come to the conversation that have never really thought about how toxic our monetary system is. But like I said, it needs moderating, it needs parameters, it needs somebody, frankly, to write up exactly, in a paragraph or two, what this is. So regardless of why or how people come to it, in 2 or 3 sentences, they get it.
Yeah.
So that I think that would be a really good starting place for somebody to try and articulate exactly what this is as a place to coalesce and to meet and to converse, and ultimately, or not even ultimately, ASAP, to produce solutions. It's an environment for people to come, talk, and go away and take action, whether that's individually to reduce their meat intake and then get off it altogether, or whether it's to be aware of all the other challenges that are facing us in terms of human hubris.
Right.
So
Well, I'll offer to create a page on climate healers for this.
yeah, and I would put it on Just Cooperate as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marco.
Yeah, this is great. And one thing I learned a little bit with Kiko Lab. It's like using a little bit of their languaging is it will be important there. But and the one thing that I really like that they do is yes, and it doesn't have to be all about everything that we think we want. Yes, and what you're doing too. Yes, and we need to do this. And because this is important. But we're also interested not just in this, that, and the other thing, which is a phrase I've heard throughout my life. Oh yeah, this, that, and the other thing. And when we had initiated the press conference, the first one, there is a minimum bar to participate here. And that the very minimum bar is that what you're presenting, what you're about, is in some way, even a very tiny way, like you know, a nonviolent board game, if that's what your group is about. It's some way is toward the goal of saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. That's no room for bomb makers, no room for racists. You know, it's a pretty clear and simple minimum bar to pass that should be safe. And I'm complete. Thank you.
All right, which climate healers has to go to another meeting? We got two people, but oh no, that's Silas. Okay, Silas, you have the last word. Go for it.
Thank you all very much. I have another meeting. In fact, it started a minute ago. So
All right, Silas, great to see you, and we'll hopefully see you later on today.
Bye.
All right, have a great day. Thanks. All right, we've been at it for 2 hours now. I'd like to propose a 10-minute break, water break, bio break, etc. And I know we got important food healer stuff to discuss. Alan, good to see you. You got your hand up. Of course, how about this? I'm going to pause recording just to create some space.